It is almost that time of year. The Game Awards are almost upon us, and that means it is time to do our annual hopes and dreams / predictions video of what I hope to see and what I think we'll see at this year's event. So if any of that sounds cool to you, feel free to click the like button and subscribe if you'd like to stick around. It's always appreciated. And you might notice I sound a little weird. I'm sick and it's hitting me pretty hard, but I gotta get this video out because this is an annual thing that I do. I got a lot of ideas brewing in the head and it's a lot of fun and it keeps me focused on something other than hacking my brains out, blowing my nose and coughing 24/7. So starting with the first prediction / hope and dream, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I think we'll definitely see that at this year's Game Awards. A new trailer is almost a given. By the time we get to the Game Awards, Rebirth will be almost 2 months away, a little over 2 months away exactly. So Square Enix is going to really want to ramp up the marketing for that game, and the best possible place to do that is at the Game Awards. It's an event that millions of people watch every single year from different platforms, and it's the greatest place to put eyes on your product. And again, Jeff Keighley has a really great relationship with Square Enix. At Summer Game Fest this year, he gave that grand finale spot to the first real trailer for Rebirth, and last year he did the same thing for Yoshi P in Final Fantasy 16 at the Game Awards. Now, I've mentioned before I would really love to see in this trailer a focus on Vincent and introducing Sid, but I also want to see some gameplay stuff from Zack. I'm very curious to see how he's going to control. Will it be very similar to what we saw in Crisis Core? Will he have his own party? All of that stuff is stuff I really want to see, but I'm going to add the caveat that they will also announce a demo, a time frame for that Rebirth demo, most likely what everyone's been playing so far from TGS, that Calm flashback, I think will be the official demo for Rebirth, and I'm hoping that they announce a release date for that demo. I don't think they'll shadow drop a demo the night of the Game Awards or the following day. I think they're going to want to wait until about a month away from Rebirth's release to get that demo out in the open so we can all play it. So crossing my fingers that yes, we do see Rebirth at this event. Second, I mentioned this one last year if you didn't watch my predictions video from last year, but Tekken 8 and a specific Final Fantasy character that I need to see in this franchise. And yes, I will say it again until I'm blue in the face. Tifa needs to make her way to Tekken. Tifa and Tekken 8 would just make all the sense in the world. I even did a video specifically talking about Tifa's moveset and how she could be integrated into Tekken 8, not just in terms of gameplay, but even story. Bandai Namco, Harada. I gave you guys a really great story on how to put Tifa into Tekken. Essentially, long story short, Tifa and Cloud are in Mideel. They fall into the live stream, but instead of Tifa helping Cloud, she gets swept away to a far off land. She ends up in the universe of Tekken. She sees the King of Iron Fist tournament and thinks, maybe if I enter this tournament, I can find somebody that helps me get back to Cloud. Boom, Tifa is now in the world of Tekken. She would have a sick moveset to pull from, especially looking at how she plays in Final Fantasy VII Remake and what we're going to see from Rebirth. Her moveset is just tailor-made for a fighting game, and to not have her in a fighting game would just be wrong. She fits so well into the world of Tekken. She would have some really great rage arts and heat moves, and it would just make all the sense in the world to see Tifa. But with my luck, they probably won't put Tifa in Tekken, but instead they would put Clive from Final Fantasy 16. Now, I like Clive. I would have no issue with Clive being in Tekken, although I would prefer Tifa, obviously. But Clive would be really cool too. He's obviously got a massive moveset from Final Fantasy 16 with all of his unique iconic abilities that they could pull from to do some really cool moves for his moveset. He would look super flashy, probably very similar to Noctis, who was incredible in Tekken 7, but the one caveat I have, if you are going to put Clive in Tekken 8, you gotta bring back Ben Starr to do the voice for Clive. When we got Noctis in Tekken 7, it was wonderful, but unfortunately we only had the Japanese voice actor return. They didn't bring Ray Chase back to voice the English dub for Noctis, which kind of sucked. As someone who went on like a 90+ journey with that cast of characters in Final Fantasy 15, not having Ray Chase be the voice of Noctis in Tekken 7 did kind of give me a little bit of a disconnect, but even then he was still a ton of fun to play, and I'm hoping again that Tifa does make it in, and it does make sense for Tifa and Clive to be a part of Tekken in some form. If you look at Tekken 8, that's coming out towards the end of January, and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is coming out towards the end of February. So there's a very close release window for those games. And again, Square Enix and Bandai Namco do have a relationship with one another. Noctis showed up in Tekken 7, and if I remember correctly, Noctis was the most downloaded character for Tekken 7, so he was a massive hit, and clearly people have a huge interest in bringing in guest characters in Tekken, and it really can help the game just kind of explode and find a new audience. And it's really great crossover promotion to put someone like Tifa into a Tekken, because the games, again, are coming out in a very similar time frame. People might see her in Tekken and think, you know what, I might check out this Final Fantasy stuff, and vice versa. And it could work the same for Clive. If you decide to put Clive in the game down the line, you could potentially time it with that Final Fantasy 16 DLC that they've been working on as well. And part 1 of that 16 DLC could also show up at this year's event. We know that Yoshi P wants to talk more about the DLC before the end of the year. However, I think Square Enix is going to want to focus mostly on showcasing Rebirth, so that might mean that we see 16 at a separate event. Now, the one caveat here is that the team over at Tekken 8 and Bandai Namco have said that Tekken 8 will not have any guest characters at launch. But again, that's at launch. That doesn't mean you can't announce guest characters that will show up a little bit after launch, so maybe somewhere in February or March. So again, crossing those fingers that Tifa does show up in Tekken 8. Please, Harada, you gotta do it. And if not Tifa, then you can find room for Clive to be in Tekken 8, and that would be pretty cool too. Now, another game that I'm hoping to see at this year's Game Awards is Stellar Blade. This game has seemingly been in some sort of weird development hell. In fact, I think it's been about 12 to 14 months since we've had any major updates on the game. In fact, it's been so long that the last time I talked about this game was on a podcast that I used to do with my friend here on the channel, Drunklock Holmes, where we talked about Stellar Blade and Shift Up, the development team behind the game. And the game itself just looks really awesome. It's super stylish, it oozes charisma, the lead character just looks super sick. I love her green shiny armor, and combat wise it looks like a really cool blend of Devil May Cry and Bayonetta with some Souls-like elements thrown in there as well. And it would be really nice to get an update on this game. Now, it was announced recently that Shift Up, the dev team, did sign a deal with Sony to become a second party developer for them and give them Stellar Blade. So it's nice to know that there is still some life there in the project, and hopefully this press release means that we could see the game sooner rather than later. So I'm crossing my fingers that at this year's Game Awards we get an updated trailer with hopefully a really solid release window on when we can get our hands on this game, because it looks really sick and it's really highly anticipated by a lot of people. Now, this next one is a bit of a coin toss, and it's Grand Theft Auto 6. Now, Grand Theft Auto 6 being at the Game Awards would make a lot of sense. Jeff Keighley loves his exclusives, and if he can get the biggest world premiere exclusive ever, being the first real trailer for Grand Theft Auto 6 at the Game Awards, he's gonna try and do it. Does Rockstar need the Game Awards to showcase GTA 6? No, not really. This is Rockstar. This is Grand Theft Auto 6, probably one of the most, if not the most anticipated game ever. They can drop a trailer for this thing on Facebook if they wanted to, and it would just blow up and take over the internet. So they don't necessarily need the Game Awards, but it would make sense for a trailer to be at this event. And we do know that Rockstar has stated that they want to show off Grand Theft Auto 6 at the beginning of December, which lines up with the Game Awards itself. So seeing a full story/gameplay trailer for GTA 6 at the Game Awards is not out of the question. Up next, this one is always the biggest pipe dream. It's probably never going to happen, but something new from Capcom in regards to either Dino Crisis or Oni Musha. Now, again, these are beloved franchises, at least to me, and I know that they're not as popular as, say, Resident Evil or like the Monster Hunter and Street Fighter franchises, but Oni Musha and Dino Crisis clearly have an audience that are hungry for new content. The newest Oni Musha anime just dropped on Netflix a couple of weeks ago, and it's gotten pretty great word of mouth. I haven't gotten a chance to watch it yet, but it looks dope, and I would really just love to see a remake of both of those games come to fruition at some point. A remake of the first Onimusha Warlords in the RE engine, bring back, the likeness of Samanosuke, kind of upgrade the combat a little bit, maybe add a little bit more action element to the combat while still keeping those Resident Evil isms that made the first Onimusha and the second one so great, and even the third one. I really enjoy the third one as well. And then of course, the same can be applied to Dino Crisis. Everyone wants to see Regina come back, and when we saw that pink-haired girl in the trailer for Exoprimal, it got us excited, but then it broke our hearts when we discovered this is not a Dino Crisis game. It's a new IP from Capcom called Exoprimal, where you're just shooting a horde of dinosaurs, but it's not Dino Crisis. But the idea of putting, you know, a new Dino Crisis out there, a remake that still kind of is in the vein of the Resident Evil remakes, but super duper scary. I'm talking dark hallways and corridors, being snuck up on by these really intelligent dinosaurs. And recently, I don't know if anyone's on TikTok, scientists have discovered what dinosaurs actually sounded like back when they existed. And it sounds nothing like they do in the Jurassic Park movies. They actually sound a lot scarier.
Sound designers have created what they believe to be an accurate Tyrannosaurus vocalization. Goddamn.
And hearing those sounds in the dead of night when you're walking around a facility or out in the open and you hear those dinosaurs in the distance with their real voices would be spine tingling, chilling, and unnerving. And just having a big old raptor or a T-Rex pop up out of nowhere with those big white eyes and sharp teeth would be absolutely terrifying. And you're basically just printing money at this point because so many people want to see Dino Crisis come back. It's got to come back at some point. And Capcom did do a survey recently asking people, you know, what games they were interested in, and they themselves even said they're still interested in properties like Onimusha and Dino Crisis. And there are rumors going around right now that there will not be any Resident Evil remakes for the year of 2024, which does leave some wiggle room for Dino Crisis and Onimusha to return. And granted, both of these asks are pipe dreams, but hey, CM Punk is officially back in the WWE, so at this point, anything is possible. And then I would really love to see something new from Virtua Fighter. Virtua Fighter 5 Ultimate Showdown was a ton of fun, and according to Sega, it performed really well. They didn't give an exact number on sales, but it did download somewhere near the 8 million range, which is a ton. Now granted, the game was free on PlayStation Plus. I downloaded it and had a bunch of fun with it, but I'd love to see Virtua Fighter come back, and we do know they are working on something Virtua Fighter related. Harada over at the Tekken team even alluded to a new Virtua Fighter coming out sometime this year, maybe next year, and they did recently announce Virtua Fighter 3TB. Now, there's no word on if that will hit us here in America or if it's just going to be exclusive to Japanese arcades, but it'd be cool to see that make the crossover as well. Virtua Fighter is a very fun fighting game. It's incredibly complex, but when you pick a character that you gel with, like any fighting game, and you start to learn the mechanics and how the game operates, it can be a ton of fun. And of course, Virtua Fighter is a legacy fighter, so having that franchise come back and stand next to the Tekkens and the Street Fighters and the Mortal Kombats would be really cool. So here's hoping that VF makes a return as well. And now my final pick, something from God of War Ragnarok. We do know that they are working on a quasi-sequel that's going to take place between Ragnarok and whatever the third official game in this trilogy is going to be. The rumors are that it will most likely focus on Atreus and his journey away from his father. So seeing something at the Game Awards that teases a new God of War would be super sick. Ragnarok was a ton of fun. God of War 2018 was almost perfect in my opinion. Great combat, great character development, acting, writing, the pacing as well. The game, when I first played it, came in at about 40 hours and it felt just right. So pacing is really big to me. The older I get, is something I'm starting to notice, but hopefully something new from God of War will show up at these awards as well. And that is my video. Of course, in the comments down below, let me know what you guys want to see at this year's TGAs. Whether it's something that you think will show up that's a guarantee, or if it's a big pipe dream that you hope to see, like a new Power Stone or the resurrection of an old franchise that you love. Drop those in the comments down below. I am Curious Corduroy. I will see you guys in the next video. Please remember to always be excellent to one another.